Hi, my name is Tracy Valash from the WVU Extension Office and the Family Nutrition Program. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make acorn and apple roasted. So the first thing we're going to do is always wash our hands when we come into the kitchen. I've already gone ahead and done that. And then you also want to make sure to wash your veggies. Make sure you scrub them real good. Acorn squash tends to have wax on it, so make sure you scrub those, and apples sometimes do as well. So make sure you scrub them really well. If you need to use some hot water and scrub them when they're waxy, that's okay too. So I've already scrubbed mine and gotten them all nice and clean. So the first thing I'm going to show you is how to cut open our acorn squash. So we want to cut the ends off so that we have a flat way to cut. So we're going to cut one end and then we're going to spin it and we'll cut the other end. And a sharp knife is really helpful when you're cutting acorn squash and butternut squash. It tends to be difficult to cut through. So you're going to use the sharpest knife you have and cut the ends off. That way we have a nice flat surface when we go to cut through the harder ends. So keep one hand safe up top, rest one on top, and then slide down. And you can rock back and forth if you need to. And then inside we'll have all of our seeds. So just like a pumpkin has seeds that you can roast, you can save these and roast them as well. And we're just going to use a spoon and scoop all the seeds and the guts out over here. Like I said, you can save the seeds or you can toss them. So we've got one cleaned out, and we'll go ahead and do the other one. All right. So I like it to be nice and clean, so you can use your spoon. Make it nice and clean in there. And then we are going to slice these about, I don't know, about 1/4 of an inch thick. So we have these nice pretty slices. So we're going to slice all the way down. And we're going to slice the whole acorn squash, keeping our fingers out of the way. Trying to keep them consistent so that they all cook about the same rate. I like to turn mine around so that the down of the knife is away from me. So just be careful as it gets thinner. And I'm going to get one more carefully. All right. So we are going to take all of these beautiful halves and we're going to set them in a bowl because we're going to be tossing them with some other good ingredients. All right. So I've got my bowl with all my pretty slices. And now we're going to slice our apple. I'm using a Granny Smith apple. You can use whatever apple you have. And I'm going to slice the ends going all the way around, staying away from the core. I'm going to discard the core. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to have some nice slices, just like we had with our acorn squash. So we got similar shapes. And I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of this apple. All right. So we're going to put all of our apples and our acorn squash together. We're going to pour over top a tablespoon of butter. If you don't have butter, you can use a little bit of oil or margarine, and you're going to toss those until they're all nicely coated. You don't want them drowning in butter or anything, just enough to where they don't stick to each other and they don't stick to the pan. And then it just occurred to me that I forgot the most important ingredient, so sit tight. I gotta reach up into our spice cabinet here for our cinnamon. So we're gonna put a tablespoon of cinnamon on ours. Somebody left it empty. That was convenient. You know what? I have some pumpkin pie spice, so that's what I'm gonna go ahead and use since I don't have any cinnamon. Anything in the pumpkin pie cinnamon spice world will work. You can experiment with different spices. This one I think has a mix of cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, and cloves. So you're gonna wanna toss that cinnamon, or in my case, the pumpkin pie spice, all over, trying to get it evenly coated. All right, so we've got apples and acorn squash, butter, and spices. And then we're going to take a sheet pan. I tend to put something on the bottom. I use a silk flat or parchment. You don't have to do that. You can, because there's butter, you can just go ahead and spread it out on the pan. So we're going to spread out our apples and our acorn squash. And you can either just spread it out on there, or if you are wanting to make it look really pretty on the pan, you can do that too. Make sure everything's separated. You want to try not to have them overlapping too much so that they're roasted evenly. So now I'm going to stick these into a 400-degree oven for about 15 to 20 minutes. We want them to be cooked. We want them to be tender. What we don't want is for them to be like mushy and falling apart. We should still be able to scoop them up and keep them in one piece. So this is how they're going to look when they go in the oven, and I'll be back in about 20 minutes to show you how they're doing.
Go.
All right, so I've taken my pan out of the oven. My whole entire house smells like cinnamon and spice. So now we can transfer them over. You'll want to go ahead and eat these when they're warm. If you notice, mine are, let's see if I can get one here. So they are tender, but they still have their shape. They're not mushy. And we can just scrape them all down here, and maybe I can dump them on my pan. Let's see. Always be careful when you're working with hot pans. My apples kind of got a little fluffy. I don't know how that happened, but they look really good. All right, I'm gonna put them all in here. This would make a great side dish to some grilled chicken or grilled turkey, maybe with some cranberries. This guy jumped over the pan. I guess we'll get rid of him. So here is my apple and acorn squash. It smells delicious. It looks delicious. And I hope that yours turns out delicious as well, and you all enjoy this acorn squash and apple roast.